Let's be honest, nobody watches a show sans stars. Why would you? And with that in mind, Perfect Game Softball on Perfect Game TV, we want your eyeball. And so we've done it. We've got stars this week. Sierra Romero, Daron Sutton, you know she's a star, bottom line, my co-host. But we've got Kiki Milloy on here, one of the greatest hitters in the country. You pick a stat, Sierra. She's a leader in this stat. She's a star probably in whatever she wants to do in life. That comes across. I'm really excited to talk to a star, to have two stars talk about the sport of softball. She's from Tennessee and she's an All-American.
I'm really excited to talk to Kiki just about hitting, but even more about her team. I feel like Tennessee is somebody who's kind of flown under the radar, which is crazy for me to say considering they're a top 5 team. You haven't been hearing a lot from them, but I know that they're causing a lot of havoc, especially in the SEC right now. And I'm excited to hear from her, talk hitting with her, because she's in that senior year moment where it can go one of two ways, and she's doing really, really well. And I'm excited to hear how she has that success at such a high level in the SEC.
All right, sticking with the theme of stars and then throwing in what you just said, a little bit under the radar. You can't go any further under the radar than Division II JUCO, but you're a star if you're 30-0. 30-0 the start for Murray State College out of Oklahoma. They're in Tishomingo. They're about 127 miles north of Dallas. They're about 101 miles from the campus where OU plays. We're going to talk with their head coach, Aaron Mullens. 30-0 to open the season. You've got to be a star, even if it's on your own stage, if that's how you start.
Yeah, Coach Mullens, he has a full staff in the circle, but he also has the full lineup on the other end as well. So I feel like with them, it's going to be so interesting just to hear how he was able to create it and how he was able to do it, because he wears a lot of hats and he does a little bit of everything. And it's cool to hear how relationships are so important to him. And I think that that's why he has such a complete team. And I think that that's what separates maybe them from everybody else, is the fact that he has worn so many hats and he knows how to handle so many different situations, but he genuinely cares about his athletes. And I felt that from him while talking to him. I feel like he's just one of those very genuine, good people, and he wants to teach. And it was awesome talking to him.
Genuine answers from Sierra, the star of this show. We've given you reasons to watch Perfect Game Softball. When we come back, we'll get them going. So do it. Enjoy it. A couple of great stars right now. We welcome you back to Perfect Game Softball on Perfect Game TV, and it's time to talk to a multiple All-American on a program that's having an incredible year in a conference where you feel like every single weekend is like playing in the Women's College World Series. That's the SEC. Kiki Milloy joins us, the talented center fielder, having an amazing career at Tennessee. They're having an incredible season. As at the time of this conversation, just one loss to open the season. Kiki, thanks for spending time with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to start with a very simple concept. You're a great player. You make your team better. But how much does your team and your conference make you better? I know it goes both ways. How much are you pushed by having a team that is so deeply talented in a conference where there's no room for error?
I mean, our lineup is deep. It's not even just 1 through 9. It's everyone on the bench. Like, anyone can come in at any time. So, just knowing, going out there, practice every single day, competing with each other, even like our pitchers. We have some of the best pitchers in the conference. So it's competing, hitting off of them every day. They definitely make me better. And then, this conference is hard. You said it before, like it's like playing in a World Series every single time you step out there. So just being able to not ever have to take a weekend off. Like, I know you're not supposed to do that anyways, obviously, but playing in the SEC, like you've seen it, like teams can come out of nowhere. Teams can, they're out for blood. So, you just have to be on every single weekend.
So kind of just talking about your lineup right now, I think almost everybody in your lineup sitting above 300. You are well above 300. What is the vibe right now in the dugout, and what's something that you guys really worked on going into this season to produce these kind of numbers?
Mm-hmm. Well, first off, I want to start with our pitchers. We have great pitchers, and we just want to be like the support for them because, they're going to do their job to keep the other team at no runs or little to no runs so that we can start producing. So that's like our first thing. And then, just getting up there and attacking, going all out. We're not going to get up in the box and have any half swings. So, just getting up there, getting your pitch and taking it for a ride.
All right, now I got to know a little bit more about you. What did you work on going into this season, hitting wise? Like, what was your main focus and the biggest thing that you really wanted to emphasize in the box?
I think I definitely just focused on, for me, like my mental game, and then a lot of that goes with like pitch selection for me. I think when I start to get in trouble is when I start swinging out of my zone and letting a pitcher, kind of work with that. So kind of just locking back in on the pitches that I really want to hit, and, being okay taking some pitches that I don't want to.
For that mental side, for the mental side and the pitch selection and approach, was that just reps, or was there something specific that you like to do to work on that?
Reps, and then just a lot more film work of like watching pitchers and seeing what they do. I have a coach that's great at just kind of helping me work through things and just seeing what pitchers do, and then like kind of my game plan to go with that. So yeah, just a lot more studying and involving myself like outside of the game.
If I may, Kiki, I want to read from TikTok. Welcome to the side of TikTok that gets up at 5:30 a.m. for a 6:30 a.m. lift, goes to class right after, then practices for 3 hours, has homework when they get home, goes to bed at 11, does it all again the next day, but it's all worth it to put on this jersey. That was epic, by the way. I love this. So, question, when did that start for you? Sometimes it starts for young athletes. I was a parent of 2 young athletes. Sometimes it starts at a very young age. Other times it just kicks in. When would you say, you were raised by an athlete like I was. My dad's a Hall of Fame pitcher, but for you, it has to be a personal choice. For this TikTok, when did that kind of discipline start for you?
Yeah, you talked about it, about how I was raised by not only my dad, but playing in the NFL, but my mom was an All-American track. So, I had a lot of discipline from a very young age, and then just having seeing my older sister and her going through her college experience, it kind of primed me for what to expect. And then just kind of bringing that mindset into college, it was an easier transition having those people who had already gone through it in that support system.
That was a good TikTok, by the way. I just thought I'd let you know. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Was excellent.
I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't expecting that either. So,
wow.
Hey, so your older sis, is it Amira or Myra? I apologize. Help me with that.
Amira.
So Amira goes to Washington. She stays home, in other words. And you were able to watch her journey. How beneficial was that to watch what she went through as a college softball player?
Yeah, I think just kind of, she had maybe a little bit of a different journey than me. She got hurt in high school, so she didn't have as many options going in. So luckily, she went to Washington, and that's obviously a great program. And I kind of got to see their dynamic, and just kind of how she had to change what she was doing versus being in high school to that college level, because obviously college is a different level. But she kind of talked to me about not making it too big and just kind of going out there and just embracing the journey. Because I think a lot of people, when they come from high school into college, they kind of, think it's going to be something so much different, but it's still softball. It's still the game of softball. So yeah, just having her help with that really, I think, is key to my success now.
So now how much is Tia watching you? She's a 24 Northwest Bullets. I know she may be a PGF underclass All-American this year. I get to call that game, and an Oklahoma commit. Tell us a little bit about Tia as an athlete and as a sister as well.
She is very much so. She is kind of the more goofy sister, I would say. She definitely likes to go out there and have her fun, but once it's time to compete, she's all in, and she will she'll go for your throat. So it's always a fun time coming back home, because it's always competition. Her and I sometimes butt heads, but that's just the way we were raised, going at it, trying to win at everything. But yeah, I think hopefully she's learned a little bit from me, but sometimes I still learn from her. And watching her and how much fun she has in the game, I have to take a step back and realize that I really do love this game. And sometimes it is good to just goof around a little bit and have fun. So I'm definitely learning from her as much as she's learning from me.
That's awesome. I have a couple sisters too, so I feel like we have that same kind of lifestyle and same thing. Sophia is like the really goofy one, but also the very outspoken one and like sassy too. I'm kind of a mix, and then Sid's I feel like quiet until she's not. So it's a funny little mix there, the family. But going back to Tennessee, I feel like, and I don't know why, but I feel like you guys have been almost kind of like these like silent assassins this year. For some reason, I don't feel like I've heard, like I know you guys are playing great and I see you guys in the rankings, but I don't feel like it's been made as much of a big deal as I think it should have been made. And we kind of talked about it a little bit last year on our round robin. And do you guys feel that at all? Are you guys really just like head down playing? And then kind of what's different about this team this year than from your past teams?
Right. I mean, obviously, like we see the rankings and it's hard to not see that and not acknowledge that. But the reason why we're having some success is what we're doing when no one's watching, what only this team knows. And it's okay that we're not getting the recognition or everyone's talking about us because, you know, we're just going out there and we're doing our job and we're playing for each other. And if we keep doing that and keep doing what we need to do to be successful, then, you know, we're going to go a long way.
I kind of feel like that's scary in a sense because I feel like I know what that's like to be on a team that's silently creeping up, but they're not really creeping up because they're in the top 5, top 10, whatever it might be. So I'm kind of like worried for other teams because I just feel like they're not going to be ready in a sense. But I mean, that just helps you guys out. But that's kind of the vibe I've been getting watching this season because I'm like looking and I see you guys doing so well and it's a whole team effort. It's like, it's not just one person. Like you guys are all doing so dang well. So I think that's one thing that's super impressive because that's rare. I mean, you guys are in the SEC and y'all are hitting above 300. Like every single person. Does nobody realize that? Like I'd be terrified to pitch to you guys. So I had to mention that because I just feel like it's one of those things where it goes quote unquote unnoticed, but then all of a sudden you guys are in the World Series winning it and everyone's like, where'd they come from? Well, actually, they've been there the whole time.
It's incredible, too, when you talk about the World Series, as Sierra mentions, regionals. You've hosted them 2 years in a row. You haven't been to that promised land yet. First of all, describe the regionals experience. You guys lost everything in 2020 like we all did, but then the last 2 years you've hosted and you've earned the right to host, but haven't gotten as far as you wanted to get. Describe the regionals experience and then how hungry you are to get to Oklahoma.
Man, that, I mean, like, to put it in, like, simple words, it sucks. Like, going and hosting on your own, like, your home field, and then hearing another team celebrate is the worst feeling in the world. And I don't ever want to feel that feeling again. And I think just for a lot of the returners, we, again, know how that feels. And I think we hold that in the back of our minds, but I mean, you can't let that overtake your thoughts because, you know, each year is a new year. Each year you have a new team. So, just kind of learning from that experience, but not holding it too much like in our hearts and our heads because it's like, if we're thinking about that, then it's just going to repeat because we're thinking about the past.
So before we let you go, it's your senior year. I know that from my freshman to senior year, I learned a ton. What would you say is probably the biggest piece of advice for younger athletes, whether it's, you know, the underclassmen in college or the seniors coming into their freshman year of college that maybe you've taken away from all your years at Tennessee? And what's the biggest thing that you've learned?
Don't make it too big. I think like my freshman year, my COVID year, I did not play very well. I'm sure if you go back and look at the stats, you're going to be like, how is she like that now? But I think I came in and I thought that everyone was, you know, this superstar and so great. And when I was facing All-Americans, I would just make it so big. But just remembering that I have the skills and the tools to be successful. And I'm obviously here for a reason. I'm playing for a reason. There's, you know, they're probably afraid of me as much as I'm afraid of them at some time. So it's like, I think just putting that in the back of my mind, like I deserve to be here. I've earned it. I've put in the work. I've put in the preparation outside of the game. So the game should be easy.
Awesome.
Describe the experience of the Canada Cup and the Japan All-Star Series wearing that Team USA. On the other Diamond Sports side, we've been kind of jumping in the pool of the World Baseball Classic. And I couldn't help but think of you and what you've experienced. What was that like?
It was great. It was such an amazing experience. And I'm so thankful for everyone who supported me throughout that. It's a different experience being able to put on a jersey that represents your country. And then luckily when I went to Canada, that's only 2 hours away from my home. So my family was able to come watch me, and just being able to be in that moment with them, and then going to Japan and experiencing a different culture and playing against some of the greatest women in the entire world. It's just so unreal. And I would have never thought that I would be in this position when I was younger, but here I am. And I'm just, again, so thankful that I got that experience.
Stealing bases. She's letting you be done with the conversation. I have a few more, and it's mainly for our young athletes that watch. The concept of stealing bases. It's one thing to be fast, and you're fast, but as well as I do, Kiki, that in either diamond sport, fast doesn't equal stealing bases at all. It's being a good base runner. What are some pieces of advice you have for those that are quick enough out there on the softball or even baseball diamond to steal bases? What are some pieces of advice you have had? Because my goodness, what a career you've had. You're right at 100. You're just about there. And with that smile, you know it. But you're almost there. What are some pieces of advice you would have for young softball athletes in growing their stolen base game?
Well, first off, I feel like stealing base obviously starts with getting on base. Karen always talks to me about like, hey, if they walk you, if you get a single, that's an automatic double, because I go and steal bases. But I think just thinking about like being a base runner, like you can do so much for your team by having those good reads, by, making those close plays, stealing a base, gaining an extra base, obviously getting in scoring position. So I guess I just think about that. Like, what can I do to help my team while I'm on base?
And is it video study? I mean, do you study pitchers? Do you study catchers? Is it video study in advance of a series?
Well, we always get like their pop time. So I kind of always know like what a catcher's arm is. And then, it kind of helps like reading the changeup or like the ball in the dirt, pass balls. It's just always, how can I get an extra base? Like any way I can I do something to put pressure on the defense to make them make a bad throw and get that extra base? Or can I do something to make the runner safe, the batter safe if they hit a ground ball in the infield? Like, what can I do to get our team to have more base runners,
Absolutely. Final question for you. Now we will let you go. I'd like to know, once softball goes away, whenever that is, and maybe you'll tell me I want to be a lifelong coach. I'm not sure. But if I were to take softball out of your life, what are you passionate about? What's next for you beyond this sport?
Yeah, I don't really want to be a coach. I don't think I have the personality for that. But I think just using, again, I've kind of talked about this before to other people, just like using my sport as a platform. I think especially with NIL now, you can kind of see there's still some disparities between men's athletics and women's athletics. And I think I just want to use what I have and what I've built to keep supporting women's athletics. And I think I kind of want to do that in the form of like sports agency, going to something like that, but I'm still not sure yet. We'll see.
There's plenty of time.
Yeah.
Games coming up over the next weeks and months. Congratulations. Mm-hmm. We look forward to seeing you guys this year in Oklahoma City. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Our show's always better when we have stars on it. And Kiki Milloy, what a great conversation. When we come back, a team that's playing like a bunch of stars, a smaller school, a JUCO school that has been undefeated to open their season in Oklahoma. That conversation is next. This is Perfect Game Softball, as you're watching Perfect Game TV. So I usually do a big, long introduction to a coach, and I talk about what they've done. But I'm going to start here because there's no way at Murray State College, the great JUCO program, Division II JUCO program in Oklahoma, that I want to say the city wrong. Coach Aaron Mullens, is it Tishomingo? Am I saying it correctly?
It is Tishomingo. You got it.
All right, now we can start the interview. I wanted to respect the fine people of Tishomingo. Coach,
Blake Shelton would be happy. That's Blake. This is Blake Shelton world. Right here. Good
mention. Good mention by you. Thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
Yes. I'm glad to be here.
Last year, you took your program just about as far as you could, and you didn't win the final game. You guys had an incredible year. Back-to-back years, you've been to the World Series. This year, you've started at a 30-0 start. Bigger picture, we'll dive in on this year's team. Bigger picture, talk about what you, your staff, and the university, the school has built as far as a foundation for softball at this point.
Right. So got here about 7 years ago. My background was high school. So I coached at a kind of a local high school around here, about 30 minutes from here, for 6 years. Taught Spanish. So I'm bilingual. And I know that you probably don't hear that, but that's kind of my background as far as that goes. But then I got here, and this is my 7th year. So we like you said, made the national tournament the last 2 seasons. First year didn't do too good, went 1-2 in the national tournament, and then last year had a really good run. And so it's the community of Tisch. It's 3,500 people as far as the population goes, and our school is 1,800 students. So it's small. It's a really small town, kind of a mom and pop town. But Oklahoma softball is really good. So it's a good recruiting state.
When I looked at your guys' hitting lineup, I was blown away at the fact that all of you are 300 or higher. But then the other thing too that got my attention was the RBIs. I think it was every single person had double digit in RBIs. And I feel like sometimes that's hard to teach or to work on as a coach, because sometimes, those athletes will get into those pressure situations where someone's at second base and it's hard to move somebody over to do what needs to be done in that moment. Is that something that you guys work on and that you stress to your hitters?
So we're not necessarily. We're really good 1 through 9. We actually have, about 15 really good hitters, to be honest with you. And so hitting, we do it a lot. So junior college is a little bit different. We have no compliance. And so there is no rules and regulations and things that we have to abide by. And so I always say this is kind of our saying. We have an indoor and it's always unlocked. We keep it unlocked all the time. And so our adage is if you pass a test, congratulations, go hit. You fail a test, okay, go hit. You get a boyfriend, hey, go hit. You break up with your boyfriend, go hit. And so we're in there all the time. There's no hours. There's no stipulations on when we can do and what we can't do. So we kind of live by the adage of hard work beats talent, and talent don't work hard. So we just outwork people. And so there's no really focus in on the RBI standpoint. We don't really have one just really superb hitter necessarily. We have really, good hitting up and down the lineup. And so that's something that we kind of, and this year's a little bit different, I would say, because we do have speed as well. And so we're just not one dimensional. I think in the past we've been kind of one dimensional. I'm not much of so Earl Weaver, baseball manager for the Orioles back in the 70s, we're kind of pitching defense and 3-run homers here. So we don't like to bunt a lot, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what we live by. But by no means am I saying that, for what we've kind of built here is kind of something that we've kind of as our standard. So
it must be really nice to not have to worry about the compliance.
Right. No, that's why I like coaching and doing what I do, because I'm a practice guy. So I love practice. Mm-hmm. Games do nothing for me personally. So that, as a personal standpoint, as a coach, I get my kicks out of practice and planning practices and the orchestration of practice and just the flow of practice. That's something that I enjoy. That's not me being selfish. That's something I enjoy. So games, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to just say, so when you guys are working on offense during your practice times, what does that look like? What is the big emphasis for you guys? What's going to help these athletes all hitting above 300?
Yeah, so a couple things. So a philosophy as far as physical aspects of it, we're kinetic chain people as far as working from the ground up. And so we preach a lot of physical aspects. We use Right View Pro. We use a lot of video. I always say, like, if you're in remember I'm the teacher. So if you're in a teaching standpoint, you're getting the visual a lot of time, or I'm sorry, you're getting the verbal a lot of times, and you're getting tactile and kinesthetic because these are moving sports. But a lot of times we fail to get the visual. So we do a lot of RVP stuff. We do a lot of video stuff in the fall. We don't have the capabilities as Division Ones and stuff of being able to video a lot in season, because we don't have that capability at our level to be able to do that. With that being said, though, I think something that sets us apart and something we've been doing a long time is data sequencing. And so we own the box. We're really good at understanding what strikes are. We don't get ourselves out. And so we track our ABs. And so we have it's called a traveling whiteboard. We travel around with it all the time. And so if you get a pitch sequence of in, out, up, and you ground out second base, you come back to the dugout and you write I-I-A-H. And we have an idea of what they're doing to get us out that day, that inning. If they take a pitch and change, we're diving into data. And so that's something that I think, because we're kind of riverboat gamblers. If we pick up a sequence of, you're going to throw a 1-1 changeup, we're going to sit on it. And if you get something that they're throwing in the first pitch, we're going to leak the front side and we're going to step in a bucket. We're going to try to hit it 300. So that's something that I think is something that we do differently, I think, than most.
So you took Durant High School 3 times to the state tournament, and it's been a wonderful, successful run for you as a coach. I've got to know, where does your passion for this sport come from? What's the genesis?
So, I was a baseball guy originally, got into this sport in 2007, and I fell in love with it so fast. It's a better game. I'm going to say that, it's a better game totality without question. And then just the love of practice. I come back to that. I get my kicks out of, we don't hang around for 3 or 4 hours. It's a 2-hour in your face flow transition from drill to drill, almost kind of like a basketball style of practice. And we don't spend too much time on one certain drill, or it's timely. I wasn't in the military, but I think I could have survived it, if that makes sense. I'm probably OCD, ADD, all kinds of stuff, but I think that's my passion as far as practice goes. Kind of the John Wooden approach.
That's incredible. So I understand all the offense, and I know Sierra's going to keep talking about offense, as she should, but you guys have outscored your opponents 271-32. I want to talk about that 32, because in the circle, Christina Clark, who's a freshman, who has logged more innings than a couple of returnees, and Alexa Hopkins and Ileana Lucio. But bottom line, all 3 have been very good. Briefly introduce your 3 stars in the circle.
Yeah, so Christina is a freshman, like you stated. She's a curveball kid, so she's upper 50s. Her ball moves all over the place, and she'll backdoor it. It's just a natural curveball. She'll throw it up. It's I compare her to Mariano Rivera. She's kind of a cutter, you know what I mean? It's just a one-pitch wonder, but the ball moves all over the place, so you can't square it up, and she disrupts timing. And then Alexa and Illy were here last year, and they were a big contribution of what we did last year. Alexa's a down ball kid, so she's low 60s, and Illy's 63 to 65. So she's kind of our velo kid. So what we as a staff, I know like -10 about pitching. Okay. So if there was like one inkling of pitching, I know nothing, but Charlie Crawford, our assistant coach, is phenomenal with our pitchers. And I think that's where we have stepped up over the last 4 or 5 years, just on the pitching aspect of it. We're controlling the game in the circle, and we know as an offense, you talk about, Sierra, you asked about RBI stuff. We know that technically, in reality, we don't got to go out and score 8 or 9 to win. We can go score 3 or 4 or 5 runs and go win games now. So I think that is a huge bonus for us. Chris, so back to Alex, she's kind of our down kid. And then Illy, she's got I call it Bugs Bunny changeup. So she's got a really good changeup along with a velo too. So coming back to, we can't, junior colleges, we can't go get that one, that one that's just going to shove, Phoenix had that, I think, with Brianna Hardy. She was there, for 4 years. We saw her a lot at Phoenix College, and, she's at University of Arizona now. So you see some of those, but very rarely do you see those type of arms. And so what I see a lot of programs doing, and this speaks to the totality of community colleges, is trying to staff it. And so all we're trying to do is find pitchers that we can staff it together throughout a course of a game to disrupt timing for hitters. And so I think we've done that. And plus our team this year, what sets it apart, we got a lot of returners. We're older. We're older. They're 19, 20. They're sophomores. But as far as junior colleges goes, they have some experience. So.
I feel like that's something that not a lot of teams have, which is so nice because I feel like it takes pressure off of both the offense um, and the defense. Just because if you know you're going to score runs, but you also have the arms in the circle, that pressure becomes less and less. I remember I've played on many different teams with many types of pitching staffs, and sometimes you feel that pressure to I need to score a couple more runs just in case. Whereas
Right.
if you have that full staff to actually help each other in the circle, you know that one or two runs can be enough. You don't feel like
Correct.
you need to have that game winning hit.
And I think, coming back to what I was saying about the Earl Weaver approach, I mean, we have been living off 3-run homers, and we try to, we don't try to hit home runs. You don't try to do that, but we're just trying to hit balls hard. But at the same time, that's what we've been kind of doing in the past. Where this year we're manufacturing runs because deep down inside, even though I don't like bunting, I know that does come into play a lot sometimes. And if we can manufacture runs and only score 5 runs a game, 4 or 5 runs a game, we're going to win a lot of softball games. So if we can go score 1 an inning, that's kind of our goal and our mindset is just go win each inning. So.
My question that I was going to ask you, and I don't know if we've already answered it, so if we did, then it's fine. But would you say that, what would you say is the biggest contributing factor to your team's success this year? Right now, in my head, I can't help but think the fact that you have the pitching staff and the hitters to kind of go against each other in practice setting, it makes it almost like that really intense game setting. But what would you say it might be?
Yeah, so the physicality, I mean, just the physical aspects of softball on that side is yes. So we're getting to compete. I mean, the competition. We have 23 on our roster, and we have some really good softball players. So we get to compete in practice, and so we establish that competition in practice. I think that's a huge component of kind of what we do and who we are. But at the same time, I'll say this, and something that we look for is recruiters and our staff. We recruit good humans, and so it's more than just a good softball player. We're really after good human beings. And with that being said, in my opinion, the hardest thing to do. So you take a kid that we've recruited all the leadoffs and the 3 holes and the 4 holes of off their teams in their high school and travel teams and stuff. Is the hardest thing to do is come to a program and possibly sit, and possibly have to compete for spots. But this team, and even years past, they truly celebrate the success of others. And I think that's the hardest thing to do in sports, is to sit back and truly appreciate what your teammate or that person that's in your spot doing and having that success that they have. And that's what we have this year. And we've had it in the past. I don't want to say that we haven't, but we really do have that. And it's a collaboration. It's a working together, atmosphere that breeds success, and winning's just the kind of the cherry on top, if that makes sense. There's a foundation that's set, and there are morals and ethics that we live by as a staff, as a coaching staff, as well as our program, and we're going to continue to live by that. But I think winning is that ultimately at the end of the day, that's just something that that hopefully that you get to, that's what you want to achieve. But the good human aspect is something that we look for more than anything.
Absolutely.
It's interesting you talked about Breezy, who was so great at Phoenix College, now at Arizona. I called that 3-game series a couple of weeks ago against ASU, kind of a shocker. But I think the most fulfilling moment for me as a father was not sitting up and calling it on the Pac-12 network, but walking to my car and seeing her interact with her family after she had worked her way into the game. She's a little further down the depth chart now with the Wildcats. With that in mind, those moments that are everything, right? Those moments, the family interaction that are everything. How much does it mean to you, the support of your families, to find places at a 4-year institution for your athletes to play? How much does that part of your job mean?
Yeah, so when we travel, I mean, we're not traveling across country. We're a regional based, team. We're Kansas, Arkansas, Texas, and Oklahoma. But we're still traveling 6-7 hours at a time. This is junior college, okay? So you just have to stay with me a little bit on this. As far as kind of what we do, it's Bull Durham style. I drive the bus. That's something that a lot of programs don't understand, as we don't have the money at some of the Division IIs and Division Is and NCAA has, and so we eat ham sandwiches, and it's not a bad thing. There's nothing bad about it, I think our kids, they actually appreciate it, when they leave from here and they go to other 4-year institutions, they appreciate, because it's pure. The softball, that they're here for one reason only. As far as the family goes, what I was getting at is, we'll travel 6-7 hours, and our fan base is massive. You know, we have a really good fan base that travels with us. So
I feel like you've done it all. Teacher, coach, athletic director, you've done just about everything. I have to know, what is the biggest thing that you've learned from all of those things that maybe you're going to take with you forever as a head coach?
Relationships, without question. I mean, it's not even close. I don't do this for fortune, fame. I don't do any of that it's building relationships with student athletes. And it lasts forever. My favorite time of the year, we go win multiple national championships. That doesn't mean anything to me. So stuff like that doesn't, you can't put a price on stuff like that. I don't think so. So the best day at Murray State for me and our staff is Alumni Day for us in October, when we get to see the kids come back. You know, we'll have 50 kids come back, and it's just, you get to, you know, see their kids and see that they've been married and go to their weddings, and that it means way more to me than wins and losses. So
that's awesome.
What a great answer. So the bus, is it one of those with the van in the front with the bus in the back, or is it the full size where you're driving like this?
No, it's nice. It's nice. It's got TVs. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice
You're
bus.
driving that big of a bus, though?
Yeah.
You got some game, Coach. I mean, I'd be scared to death to do that.
We're big. You know, it's a big bus. They'll move out of our way. That's what I always say.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. So that's just not me, though, and that's what I want to get at. This is not just a Murray State thing. There's a lot of junior college softball.
It's a JUCO thing, right? It's a JUCO.
Yeah, this is more. It's just a different feel. That's why I appreciate it so much. That's why I think our kids appreciate it, because they're truly here. It's not about the fluff. I say that all the time. You know, I'm not much of a Twitter guy. I don't do much of that stuff. My assistants do a great job of that. But I think a lot of times as athletes, we get involved in the fluff too much, you know, and it's just not the substance of what it is supposed to be as a student athlete, you know? And it's based around right now is getting an education and at the same time playing the game that you love.
We really appreciate your insights, Aaron. Really great stuff. Congratulations on the perfect start. Have a great run at the championship again, and go win it this year.
Thank you, Daron. Thank you, Sarah.
Of course, thank you.
Aaron Mullens, we thank him. His insights from Tishomingo, Oklahoma, the perfect start to the year for Murray State. We also want to thank Kiki Milloy. We learned a lot from another great star JUCO players, star SEC players. Love having this show. Sierra and I will see you again next week on Perfect Game Softball right here on Perfect Game TV.